Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the video games that will, at one point or another, bring you to tears, spoilers and sorrow ahead.
But you can rest now. Okay? I'll be okay.
Number 20, Before Your Eyes.
Hey, go ahead, kid. Look at that! There's your little hand.
We all know the saying, that everything in life flashes by in the moments leading up to a person's death. Well, that serves as the bedrock for this hit first-person narrative, where players literally go through the life of the deceased via their point of view. Aside from the beautiful imagery and imaginative approach to the afterlife, its real selling point is the use of eye tracking. You blink, and the game instantly switches to a new scene. This in turn invokes the bitter inevitability of having to let go, no matter how much you want to cling on to happier times. Might hit a bit too close to home for some, but definitely worth checking out.
Close your eyes now, and keep them closed. She's gonna let you in.
Number 19, Shadow of the Colossus. Taking the concept of a boss rush and turning it into a legitimate piece of art, there's so much praise to be heaped onto Shadow of the Colossus in just about every regard. It's also really, really depressing. Not only are you slaying these majestic beasts that aren't doing anyone any harm, but you're doing so because an ominous voice said it was necessary in order to bring back Wanda's lost love. The longer this goes on, the more the doubt starts to pile up, especially when it seemingly claims the life of best horse aggro. Naturally, it all ends in tragedy for Wanda, acting as a cautionary tale for those who attempt to make deals with devils. Number 18, Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. The dialogue may be literal gibberish, but we'll be damned if this story of brotherhood and sacrifice didn't knock us in all of our feels. To save their ailing father, two brothers embark on a journey that sees them overcome just about every danger one can expect in a fantasy world, including beasts, brutes, and hormones. With every puzzle that's beaten, you really grow attached to both Naya and Nai. Of course, things take one tragic turn after another, with the game unafraid to end things on the most bittersweet of notes. Number 17, Yakuza 0.
親が欲しがるものを差し出す。それが子分の義務ってわけだ。
Yes, we're serious. The same game that has disco mini games, real estate battle royales, cabaret club management, and watching softcore you know what, also features some of the most tear-jerking character moments ever to be found in a sprawling narrative. Between Kiryu risking it all to stop the Yakuza from destroying itself, to Majima protecting an innocent blind woman caught up in a web of conspiracies. Some of the story beats here hit exceptionally hard. You couldn't ask for a better introduction to the franchise. Number 16, Marvel's Spider-Man.
SWAT is 1084 at Fisk Tower. All units stand by. Warrant is en route.
It wouldn't be a game about Peter Parker if there wasn't just as much melancholy and heartbreak as there were superheroics. There's no better example of this than in the aftermath of Doc Ock's defeat, with Peter given the sadistic choice of either providing a cure for the citizens of New York or saving the life of Aunt May. With some last encouraging words and a whole lot of willpower, Peter chooses to do the responsible thing, even at the cost of the one person he holds most dear. It's incredibly upsetting, but that's Spider-Man's character to a T. Feel free to cry now. Number 15, God of War Ragnarok.
Get ready.
Kratos' reimagining was already a monumental feat of character and narrative design, so naturally the sequel doubled down on it, and in doing so, upped the ante when it came to moments of misery and ambivalence. Honestly, there is so much here that brought us to tears it's hard to keep track. Kratos' and Atreus' relationship continually being tested before concluding in a pitch-perfect manner, the tragedy of Thor, Brock's brutal end, Sindri's grief, The Tale of the Old Man and Death? The hits just keep on coming, and every one of them feels earned. When the end of the Norse world felt like a stepping stone compared to the character interactions, you know the writers were cooking.
Path. One I had never imagined.
Number 14, Valiant Hearts, The Great War. With its cartoony art style and roots in 2D puzzle solving, you wouldn't think it was possible for a game like Valiant Hearts to be able to fully capture the authenticity and magnitude of a topic like the First World War. On the contrary, it magnificently portrays the devastation and loss on all sides of the conflict, shown through the lens of a handful of soldiers and citizens as they struggle to survive the war's ongoing peril. Seasoned with historical accounts and photos, this game is as much an education on World War I as it is a damning and heartrending tale inspired by it. Number 13, Spiritfarer. Oh, you thought you were about to indulge in a colourful management sim, traversing the ocean, picking up anthropomorphic additions to your crew and having a grand old time? Well, that's only one half of it. The other is slowly learning the backstory of every character, helping them come to terms with their baggage, before ushering them off to the afterlife. Beneath the fantasy and the flashiness, this game is all about accepting death, coming to terms with the decisions you made in life, and having the strength to say goodbye. It's an exquisite game that will have you pondering the connections you have with your own loved ones. Number 12, Red Dead Redemption 2.
There is nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Morgan. Take a gamble that love exists and do a loving act.
Arthur Morgan may not have been a saint, but his final outing in the dying days of the Old West was one for the ages, and was certainly packed with bitter moments to swallow. Between all the gunslinging and horse wrangling, we were witness to a man faced with his own imminent death, forced to confront his own misgivings, and the fracturing of the Van der Linde gang. We don't think there's been a gaming moment in recent memory that struck as hard as watching Arthur take his final breath while watching the sun rise. Number 11, That Dragon, Cancer.
You know, there's lots of things Joel isn't good at, but there's some things he is good at. What is he good at?
Laughing.
We can't think of a worse situation than discovering your child has been diagnosed with cancer, but that's exactly what happened to Ryan and Amy Green, who in turn chose to pseudo-document the life of their son Joel before his eventual passing. As you can imagine, this isn't a game meant to be enjoyed, more as it is experienced. Meshing together the high and low points of the Green's family life, complete with evocative imagery that explores themes of grief and faith. It's a deeply personal project that is both humbling and hollowing, and we can only hope that the final result has brought about some measure of peace.
So here we are, and the air is emptier without his laugh, and yet our hearts are still full, but with a different drink.
Number 10, Gears of War 3.
But you're with the kids now. That's home, yeah? I'll see you all again one day.
The Gears of War series is all about a group of unnaturally large macho men sawing monsters in half with chainsaws attached to their guns, so you can't exactly blame gamers back in the day for not expecting emotion. However, due to the gripping writing and performances, the waterworks come, and they come hard. Gears of War 2 had the extremely sad scene involving Dom and his wife Maria.
I love you so much.
But it's Dom's death in the third game that really got to us. Complete with Marcus's chilling scream and the use of the song Mad World, Dom's death still haunts us.
It's okay. Come on. We gotta go now. Your father still needs us.
Number 9, Mass Effect 3.
And I will watch over the ones who live on. Those who carry the memory of the man I once was.
Regardless of your feelings surrounding the ending itself, you can't deny that this third installment brought the hammer down hard when it came to the war against the Reapers. Seeing as how this was the final game of the original trilogy, there were many climactic and dramatic moments littered throughout the story. Some of them happy, some of them not so much, depending on the choices you make. Among them, you can guarantee the likes of Morden and Anderson's death will leave you sobbing.
Anderson.
Number 8. Mother 3. Released in Japan for the Game Boy Advance, Mother 3 tells the harmless and run-of-the-mill story of a young boy defending the world from an invading force. The usual. Unlike most Game Boy games, however, Mother 3 deals with themes like feudalism, morality, and a serious amount of death. You've got Flint breaking down after finding Hinawa's body, flashback of Lucas and Klaus as young children, and that absolute downer of an ending. These kids didn't deserve all of this! Number 7. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
She will go down in official history as a war criminal. And no one will ever understand her.
While many of the Metal Gear Solid games contain stellar stories, this third installment has what is perhaps one of the greatest endings in video game history. In order to complete his mission, Snake is tasked to kill his mentor, the boss, leading to players being forced to pull the trigger and ultimately end her life. Throw in a cacophony of revelations in regards to the boss's true nature and the truth of Snake's mission, and all he can do is salute at the grave of the person he respected most of all, burdened with the knowledge that he was puppeteered into killing a true patriot.
She was a true patriot.
Number 6. Professor Layton and the Unwound Future.
But on a more serious note, I think this mystery might be the oddest one we've ever encountered.
Here for a feel-good time and to test your brain? Too bad! Have a heaping helping of misery instead. This final chapter once again sees players controlling the cool, calm and collected Professor Layton, at least until the conclusion rears its head. Layton's deceased girlfriend of 10 years, Claire, returns to him through the magic of time travel. Their reunion is, however, cut short when she is forced back to her own time, ensuring her demise. For a quaint collection of puzzle games, it's a shockingly dark way to end things.
Our shared past and our lost future.
Number 5. Life is Strange.
We're gonna shoot all these bottles without wasting a single bullet. Max, you have to help me aim.
One of the many episodic adventure video games that popped up back in the day, Life is Strange follows the antics of a college student who one day discovers she can manipulate time. While the premise may sound thrilling, the story goes out of its way to explore uncomfortable elements, such as broken family dynamics, death, toxic relationships, all layered against a murder mystery and alternate timelines. Max and Chloe's relationship lurks at the heart of this, and naturally, given the game's reliance on player choice, things don't always work out for the best.
I know! You prove that over and over again, even though I don't deserve it. I'm so selfish.
Number 4. Final Fantasy VII. While Final Fantasy X may also make you tear up on the regular, there's one moment in the 7th mainline game that cements itself as a continued source of grief for gamers everywhere: Aerith's death. Her end is a landmark event in the franchise and beyond, one that still ripples out all these years later. At the time, the abrupt and brutal end to everyone's beloved healer was met with such shock that players went above and beyond to try and find a way to prevent the tragedy, all to no avail. Number 3. The Last of Us.
Swear to me. Swear to me that everything that you've said about the Fireflies is true.
There are zombie apocalypses, and then there's The Last of Us. Naughty Dog's magnum opus is nothing if not depressing, focusing on the struggles of Joel and Ellie as they endeavour to journey across a ruined America, all under the assumption that they can find a cure for the ongoing virus that has ravaged the world. Unfortunately for them, there's no cure for the wickedness that lurks in the hearts of men. Between the death of Joel's daughter, what becomes of Henry and Sam, the ordeal with David and his cannibals, let alone Joel's final solution in order to protect Ellie, The Last of Us offers a glimpse into the horrors all are capable of when it comes to protecting what they love.
Let me go. Please.
You just come after her.
Number 2. The Walking Dead.
She traveled for work. I didn't like that. I wanted a family.
A reasonable thing to want.
So we fought.
Quite possibly the best thing to ever come out of the Walking Dead license, the interactive episodic formula pioneered by Telltale Games offered a fresh approach to the horror and heartbreak when it came to the walkers. Lee and Clementine's bond as a surrogate father and daughter will have you continually invested, borderline desperate to keep them safe, with every action leading to one bloody outcome after another. Things may have trailed off following its latter seasons, but the first outing remains a marvel, one that broke us come that unbearably bleak ending.
Keep that hair short.
I will. I'll cut it myself.
Great. Good.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. To the Moon. A little indie that seemed to slip under the pop culture radar at the time, To the Moon is a hauntingly beautiful game that will stay with you long after you've completed it. Following two eternal sunshine-like scientists as they implant false memories into a dying man, as a means to live out a dream he wished to share with his emotionally withdrawn wife, things become a tad more complicated as they dive deeper into his past. Even with the sci-fi additions, To the Moon is an incredibly human story about seeking happiness, and how life is rarely ever kind enough to make the journey an easy one. Which game had you bawling by the end? Let us know in the comments.